Well, it was the second to last episode of the Challenge All Star Season 2. It was another pretty good, entertaining episode. I think they told a good story this season. We had the split house. We still have the split house coming into the final. One of the things we got in this episode, though, that we haven't gotten, it kind of came out of the blue, was Janelle injuring her back. We heard nothing about this in the first 8 episodes, so she said she was hiding it. Maybe she really was, and that's why we don't know till now. But it was kind of a last minute thing. I guess that adds a new storyline to the final going into this, because I don't know if this is a final I would have expected these four teams at the end. I mean, of course, we had the duo twist in the middle of the season, so we didn't know it was going to be duos. Anyway, I still don't know how I feel about the duo twist. I feel like I still think we could have got more drama if the second half of the season was still people playing as singles. I just feel like there's more dynamic gameplay when it comes to singles games. Duos work sometimes on the challenge. My least favorite is when they do big teams on the challenge. I think that's my least favorite these days. But yeah, much like Survivor, like coming to the merge, everything's so dynamic. Maybe not this last season because they edited it so terribly, but usually coming into the merge, there's so many different dynamics. It's always a fun time. So I just feel like the duos at the second half of the season hindered possible gameplay, but we still get a split house going into the final, so I can't complain that much. So yeah, another entertaining episode, even with the start being the Baywatch theme. It was interesting. It fit the scene. It was funny. Um, so yeah, the daily was another challenge on top of one of the trucks. This time they had to untie knots to get to the four boxes, the keys to unlock. It was a lot. Only one team finished. That was the winning team of Nehemiah and Melinda. Every other single team struggled. I think they mostly struggled untying the knots. The men especially struggled with untying knots, which I honestly feel like is a thing. I do feel like, just in general, women are better at untying knots. I don't know what it is. I think it is because men get frustrated more easily. We saw that from Brad, who just started to rip the boxes apart, going all Hulk style. So, and getting himself DQ'd, they were the losing team because of Brad. Brad and Jody got themselves DQ'd because Brad was smashing up the boxes rather than just trying to get them open and entangle knots. MJ also struggled untying knots. So yeah, the women did good in this challenge. The men struggled mightily. So Brad and Jody being the last place was interesting because it does feel like coming into these last few episodes, they were probably on paper the strongest team. Somebody mentioned, I think it was Nehemiah though, that they are a strong team when it comes to physical challenges, but they're kind of dumb. And he's not wrong. We saw that in this challenge. And yeah, I mean, I sometimes like Brad, I sometimes don't. Didn't really like, I mean, Jody this season because, like I talked about in the last video, I just get sick of these boring competitors who are just good at challenges. They don't do anything for me, so Jody doesn't really do anything for me. I mean, like, I don't hate her or anything, but she's just not that interesting. And I kind of feel the same about Brad, honestly. He's likable at times, but he's also kind of boring. So that's why I have a gripe with him. So them missing the final and losing in this episode, I think it makes the final more interesting, honestly, because they would have been one of the front runners. I feel like Nehemiah and Melinda have to be the front runners now going into this final, but we'll talk about that in a second. So it comes down to Nehemiah and Melinda, of course, save the palace. They do not want Tech and Ayana to be in the final to go against Brad and Jody, obviously. So Tech and Ayana will make the final automatically. So it came down to Tech and Ayana having to vote either MJ and Janae in or Janelle and Darrell. Once again, I think we have shown this season and even last season that Janae's political game to not get into these eliminations, she's great at it. I talked about it last season. I talked about it again this season. We got to see more in the edit this season about how her social game is great, how she was able to kind of play the middle for a long part of this game, and how she just has strong connections with everybody. So her and MJ do not get put into one elimination this entire season. And I think Janae deserves the full credit for that because she did the same thing last season. MJ is he has some good relationships this season too, and I feel like he's pretty decent at challenges from what we've seen. But Janae is the reason they did not go into elimination the entire season and will make the final because Darrell and Janelle were voted in. We had the Smash House elimination challenge, which was pretty fun, where they basically had to smash it up, put cinder blocks through a hole. Their partner had to then put the cinder blocks through an even smaller hole, and whoever had the most weight of cinder blocks won the challenge. It was very close. I laughed my ass off when Tech was talking about the 1 kilo because I was thinking the same thing. Because TJ's like, it was a 1 kilo difference. And I'm like, I don't know the significance of that because I'm American. Sorry. So I like Tech's little comment how it seems really close. I don't know what a kilo is, but that seems very close. It was close, and in the end, Darrell and Janelle defeat Brad and Jody to make the final. So that makes our final 4 duos Nehemiah and Melinda, number 1, who I think probably has the odds-on favorite chance of winning. I feel like they're both smart players, but also good physically, especially Nehemiah. Nehemiah has had a good edit this season. He was kind of shown as the leader of the King's Palace, even though LT and Tech played huge parts in it as well, obviously. But I feel like Nehemiah was getting a lot of the credit from the edit. So Nehemiah and Melinda probably the favorites to win at this point, at least on paper. In second place, I would probably, I mean, it's hard to count out Darrell in these challenges, but we get in the storyline about Janelle's back. So I feel like Darrell's going to have to carry her on his back for this elimination. Well, for this final, I mean. So I think second is probably Janae and MJ. We've seen that they have good chemistry. We see that they make a good team. I think both are good at challenges when they need to be. I think Janae can show heart when she needs to be. So I do think they have a shot at winning this challenge. They just have to beat out Nehemiah and Melinda, which might be difficult. And then third would be Darrell and Janelle. Despite Janelle's back injury, it could just be a fake out. But I mean, I'm trying to think of Darrell's edit this season, and his edit has been, I mean, it's been mostly positive. I feel like he was shown to be trying to really play the game. He had strong connections on the other side of the split house from the King's Palace. And Darrell has won 4 out of 5 finals he's been in. He lost last season in the final. And now that he has an injured player with him in a duo, it might be difficult again. You can't count Darrell out, despite having a partner with a bad back. And then last place, probably Tech and Ayana. I love them, and Ayana has been a beast at eliminations, and Tech tries very hard at eliminations too. I just think the final is different than eliminations because it comes down to a lot of heart and a lot of being able to just stay in it. And I think they have that. I just don't know if they could be the team that does that the fastest. So I don't see them winning, even though I would love for them to win. They would be my favorite to win, but I don't think they're going to win. So that is our final 4 duos going into the final next week. It's been a solid season of the Challenge All-Stars 2. Looking forward to the final. I think either way, I'm happy with the winner. I think at least one person from each duo played a great game this season. Some of them too. I think Tech and Ayana may have played the best game overall of the duos, but winning the final, I don't see it happening, unfortunately.